Welcome to the Future is Female podcast. This is Zachary King, and I am here. Today is a very, very special show in honor of Father's Day. I am here with arguably two of the most beautiful, smart, important women of my life. My daughter, mom, and my daughter. How y'all doing today?
Hey.
Good. Hey.
Real quick, can y'all introduce yourself, starting with you, Mel?
I'm Monet Williams. I'm from Philadelphia. I recently, about 9 years ago, moved to North Carolina, and that's where I reside. But Philly's my home. I still have my 215 number. Mm-hmm. It was in the boys' bathroom. But
oh my God! Hey, y'all see why we broke up, right? Autumn, please tell me a little bit about you.
Hey, my name is Autumn Rain. I'm a cheerleader. I was born in Philadelphia, but we moved to North Carolina, and I'm here on my dad's podcast.
Okay, cool. The purpose of me having you guys here, it was for two reasons. Number one is because a lot of times when I see people on these social media platforms, they talk a lot about women and relationships and, everything else under the sun. But they never have the people that are close to them. They never have people who are actually directly affected by them and their decisions. So I wanted to have you guys here so we can, talk and talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and about our journey and how we got to this space. Mo, let's start with you. Okay. Let's talk about, I don't want to say our journey, but let's talk about do you remember how we met?
I do.
Do you do? Go ahead. Let me hear it. Let Autumn hear this story.
We met at a home buying workshop. I get these kids mixed up. Skylar and Trey were with me. Now, at the time, I think they were probably like 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 at the time.
Hold on. For the listening audience, let them know who Sky and Trey are.
Sky and Trey are my two older children, and right now they are 23 and 24.
Great. Yeah,
so
wow.
Sky and Trey at the time were actually either 3 and 4 or 4 and 5.
Right.
When I met Zachary, and it was at a home buying workshop. I seen this guy and I was like, I guess he looks okay. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to another young lady and she said something kind of derogatory and I'm just like, okay, and I kind of left it as it was. He walked into my car, we started talking, and then, fast forward, we have a 14-year-old.
Right. Yeah, I remember them days. I remember that. Good times. I don't like how it played out. I'm just full transparency. I wish it would have played out a little bit different between us. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the sake that we got a 14-year-old out of the deal. So, and that was another reason why I wanted to have you here. It's because I felt like on a few of my other past episodes, I've been asking the women, I've been asking what can we do as men to help out the burdens of the woman. And then also it's been like kind of like an apology too for some of our, I guess say bad actions, bad decisions. Okay. So it was kind of like, well, if you asking all these other women, or apologies or apologizing to these other women, you can apologize to the women that are most important to you in your life. Okay. And that's why I got you here. So with that being said, I just wanted to apologize because I know I haven't always been the greatest friend. I haven't always been the greatest baby daddy. I haven't always been the greatest father. But it's important that you guys know that you guys really mean a lot to me, regardless of where we at in our walks in life. It's just important for me to know that. One of the things I wanted to also talk about is
apology accepted.
Oh, cool, for sure. I was just going to move right along.
Take a breath.
With that being said, too, I want to talk about a little bit about my time when I went away. Okay. I'm very transparent about my time and how it was when I went, unfortunately had to go for a few years. And with that being said, you just recently, I think a few years afterwards, you wound up going to North Carolina. And I just want to know, what was your thoughts? What was going through your head at that particular time?
While you were away?
Mm-hmm.
What was going through my head? I think more than anything was I wanted to make sure my children had a decent life, regardless of where we landed in North Carolina. I knew Philadelphia wasn't my end-all be-all. I felt actually smothered, right? And not just by you going away, just by the responsibilities and the rat race in Philly. And I wanted to ensure that Skylar, Trey, and Autumn had the best life at the time that I couldn't provide them in Philly. You know, I lived in an apartment, 2 bedrooms, 3 kids. Even though it was a duplex and I had full capacity of both units, everyone was there with me, right? Whether it was mom, whether it was sister, whether it was brother, I needed to stretch out. And so moving away was probably the best thing. And I know it was hard because I knew you were away and you wouldn't see Autumn flourish, but we had the village to help us out. Left. And you know, you calling her and making sure that you were never not present. Even though you were physically gone, she always knew that you were around. So yes, it was challenging because it wasn't her dad there with her all the time, but it was never to the point that we made her feel like there was an empty space.
I feel that for sure. And I thank you for that. What are some of like the biggest challenges you faced while you was, you know, like trying to make the transition to making it work down in North Carolina? You know, I know you talked about a support system and stuff. So what was some of like your biggest challenges that you faced?
Yeah, so a support system is important, right? So you figure I took me and 3 kids to North Carolina with no one, a new job. Literally, my mom came down with me and stayed a month. Your mom actually came and stayed a month after my mom left. I walk into my job and I'm like, yo, I'm getting a headhunter. I'm getting the heck up out of here because it was very different. The Charlotte area, I lived outside of Charlotte in a town called Harrisburg, but that area was very different, right? I go from, you know, cars and skirt, all of that, to like moo cows, right? So I'm literally living across the street from cows. And so it's very different. And that was hard because I wanted to hear cats outside fighting, but all I heard was lawn mowers and air conditioning units.
Right.
So my church family, they became the support. And over time, you know, with Autumn having play dates and having a young child growing up, you tend to meet other parents and moms and even our dads, and you have play dates. And then, you know, with Sky and Trey being active in school, you meet other parents. So you kind of build your network and support system from there. But it's nothing like my support system back home, right?
Right.
So, and again, that's why I'm in Philly. If there's a movie theater, you're like, oh, the movie started at 5, I'm catching the flight.
Right.
If it's a birthday party, I'm here.
Right.
But, you know, my church family in North Carolina totally helped me out.
Great. And I'm thankful to hear that too, because we ain't gonna get too deep into it, but could be hard on the churches, okay? I could be a little hard on the churches. And so I'm grateful for the fact that they're taking care of the community.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things that's like big for me. I feel as though that the churches need to have a stronger impact into the community. So to hear that is really, I want to give them their flowers.
Absolutely.
For anyone that was walking out on that same path as you, like where they might have had some things they didn't plan for and they decided that it was time for change, what advice would you give for a woman that was, you know, kind of walking in that same path?
So this is not for everybody. Honestly, it's not. You have to be strong enough because at any given moment, I was ready to come back home. And I remember saying at my mom's homegoing service, Mom, just, you know, tell me you want me to come home. And she didn't. She wanted me to have my journey. And with that, I say do your research because I researched. I wanted to make sure I was giving my kids the best life when I moved to North Carolina. I didn't want to leave West Philadelphia, you know, the school system, the neighborhood, and go into the same equivalency. I wanted to upgrade their life, in which I did. So I did my research. I wanted to be close to the job. I didn't want to have to drive 45 minutes like I was before fighting traffic. But that was a doozy. I got there and they did me dirty. They made me go to South Carolina. Then we petitioned. And then I was work from home since 2016.
Right.
But in any event, you know, do your research, right? And, you know, make sure that this is what you want to do and build your support system around it, whether it's church, whether it's, you know, the internet is really good because there's a lot of social sites, meetups, meet and greet. And since there's transplants all over the place, that's a good way to build a support system and for you to meet people and to, you know, meet like-minded folks because everybody's moving.
Right. So to kind of pivot a little bit, I want to talk about my time, not so much of my time incarcerated, but like how did you handle that as my daughter mom? And the reason why I'm so conscious of calling you my daughter's mom, because I feel like when you say baby mom, it just got like a bad rap behind it. And
I had baby mama days.
Right. No, for sure. But that was one of the things that I think that me and you always kind of seen, like you kind of understood the fact that we still need a co-parent. And like, what are some of the things, because what I want to do is my other part of having you here was because I felt like it was needed for us to have representation of good co-parents that are out there. A lot of times when you look on social media, the only time where people see us co-parent together is on like Love and Hip Hop, or some type of crazy reality show where people are, tearing each other apart. I didn't want that. So I want to be able to provide that space where we can have that conversation. So with that being said, what are some of the challenges that you might have had to face that you needed to adjust to about me being away? Give you an example. Phone calls, like how I had a call at a particular time, letters, visits, what was some of the things that because you had to adjust, even though I'm away, you had to adjust even to my schedule to be accommodating to Autumn.
Yeah. And with that, wanting to make sure we had a healthy child. And a healthy child meant removing my feelings, whether they were ill, will, indifferent, and putting them aside to ensure that Autumn had the balance. And the balance of having a father who's not present, but she could hear from him. So whenever you called, it was, all right, Autumn's dad is calling. Let's make time for her to talk to him, right? A lot of times it wasn't easy because you may have caught us off guard or whatever, but, there was never a time we were like, oh, no, we can't talk right now. I always made that space so that she could speak to you. And again, no matter how I felt, I just wanted her to make sure that she knew her dad. She understood that, daddy's not around, but he still loves you. And that's it, removing how I felt, because it's all about the kid.
Right. Well, with that being said, Autumn, let's talk about you a little bit, okay?
Okay.
How did you feel? I mean, did you feel that? Did you feel like your mother did a good job with that? Like,
Definitely. I do feel that my mom, she made a great support system for us and a great support system for me, that whenever you were around, it never felt like I was missing out, because I always knew that you loved me and that you cared for me, and that I always knew that though you weren't physically there, you were always there with me. You always cared for me, no matter what.
Oh, that's sweet, sweetheart.
She sounds so rehearsed.
I know. How much did your mother have to pay you? How much she paid you?
How much you paid her?
How would you say that? Yeah. What were some of your thoughts though, sweetheart? Because it wasn't always like this. Okay, the little girl that's standing in front of us. When I went away, Autumn was what, 3?
She was 3.
She was 3. I think she just turned 3.
No, she's 3 going on 4.
She was 3 going on 4, and I came back and she was 10 going on 11. Right?
Yeah, she just had a 10th birthday, yeah.
Right, so she was 10 going on 11. So it was real. I mean,
real.
Let me put this out here too. For the 7 years that I was away, I was not able to see Autumn because of the distance. As we know, she lived in North Carolina and I was way up in Canada somewhere. I could have been in Mars, it felt like. It was just, I was so far away that I never seen my little girl. So I literally had to see my little girl grow up through pictures and what other people told me about. But I tried my best to be available to her on the phone several times, calling several times a week. Whenever it was a free opportunity, I called, I wrote, I did whatever I could do to be a support, while I was away. And I'm going to give myself some credit. One of the things that the promises that I said I made while inside, I actually fulfilled. I actually stuck to them. So I would encourage that any brother that is also going through a situation such as my own, that he would do the same thing, and that he would do that. Because, we all talk about how we love our kids while we in there, and it's all about our kids. And then when we get home, we wind up chasing some female around or running around chasing some other to fill our egos. But the truth of the matter is, the people who need us most, that's the people we need to be chasing around for. So, but Autumn, please tell me about a time where maybe you didn't feel so safe, or a time you wasn't so, again, you smiling because you ain't see me, and but you happy to see me. But what about the times where you was, what you wanted me and I wasn't there? What was that going through?
One time that I can definitely pinpoint is the daddy-daughter dances. At my school, they had a daddy-daughter dance every year, and you weren't there. And I was a little mad at you. I was like, how could you leave me there? And I really wanted to go. And my brother, my oldest brother, Trey, he took me to it, and you called me. And though you weren't there, I still knew that you loved me, and it made me a little upset because I was seeing all the dads and all the daughters having fun with their kid and, having fun, but you weren't there. Mm-hmm. So it just made me a little upset, but I was definitely happy that my brother Trey, he also stepped up and built that support system around us too.
Shout out to Trey. Trey was the brother dad of the year. To the point where if I can't get it right, Trey would, in the absence of Zachary King.
That's real, and I'm thankful for that too. I'm thankful for that as well. To have Trey. How old is Trey now?
How old is he?
Yeah.
23.
23. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Trey,
you met him
right.
Four.
Yeah. And he's a grown young man right now. Shout out to Big Calvin too. Okay.
Shout out to Big Calvin.
Shout out to Big Calvin,
that's
man.
My other baby dad.
That's the other baby dad. But he's a cool dude, man. He's
great co-parenting relationship there.
Right, man. He's another one, man. So shout out to him, man. So, because there's a lot of things that going on, especially with social media, where they talk about single moms and, don't date them and don't do this and don't do that. And sometimes these are the things that, like, in my circumstance, I think God that I had a stepson at the time, that could step in and could help me out when I fell short. Yeah. And I think that's something that, a lot of men could consider as well. So what are your thoughts on that too? The whole, this whole thing going on about, men not dating moms and stuff like that. You have any thoughts on that?
Wow. So I'm like so far removed from relationships and dating and all of that. Okay. But prior to having children, I didn't want anyone who had children. Okay. Prior to having children. And I had children quite early, not too early, but early enough, right? I was, graduated from college, and here it is, a year later, I'm popping up with a baby. So what I did find interesting...
Hold on, before, what did you graduate with?
I graduated with my bachelor's degree in management information systems, and I have my MBA in international management, and I have a teaching certification because I taught for a couple of years.
Right.
But so what I found interesting is that with gender biases, right? So not my hair being in locks, not being, isolated or segregated as a black woman, but being a black woman with children, folks did not take me serious. So with that, I would say a couple dudes be like, man, you was the one. Yeah, well, now that you see the outcome, because this is who I always was. Right. But the fact that when I had those children, you didn't see I was the one. Right. So now you're like, dang, man, you was the one. Yeah, well, sorry. Right. So if people feel like that they don't want to date anyone with children, shame on them. Forget them. Okay. Because, children are only extensions of that person. And if you got great, amazing kids, then that woman or that man is an amazing person. Right. Because that's the fruits of their labor. Right. No, I can feel you coming from. As a man, it's a little bit different sometimes because we are expected to step into as a provider and be a provider to that child. So it's a little bit different. I personally feel as though that I hit the lottery in terms of kids or dealing with coming into a stepfather situation. Absolutely. I hit the lottery. I mean, I hit the biggest jackpot. Sky and Trey are amazing. They still are amazing. They just dope people to be around. So I'm thrilled for them and to be around them. So it was my privilege. But I do understand that not everybody is that lucky. So in those types of situations, can I recommend it? I don't know, because it's just something that I would say that as a man, don't jump into a woman's life, especially if you're not serious about, if you're not trying to be a stable, pillar in that family, don't involve yourself with that woman, because if she a single woman and trying to do the best she can, she don't need no other distractions. So I would that would be my only advice. I'm not saying you should, you shouldn't,
But if you are going to step up to that right there, you need to be the man that she needs you to be and not be coming in and out. Because just like we understand that the fathers can sometimes make a really bad example of what a man should be, a stepfather could be that too. And we don't need that. And if you're going to get into a situation voluntarily, we want you to, be as, come correct or don't come at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Autumn, another question I have for you. What is it that you want to do now that I'm home? And, was there anything that you wanted to ever say to me or express to me that, that you never got a chance to? Let me ask this question. How do you feel now? I never asked you that question before. How do you feel now that I'm home? And, are you still angry with me? Have some of that anger left? Or like, what's going on with that?
Now, I'm not necessarily angry at you anymore. I am content that you're here. I'm happy that you're here. And that I get to see you as often as I do, and whenever we do fun things, and we go on excursions, and I'm dearly grateful for you. And I'm not mad at you at all. Okay. I'm not mad at you. Some of the things that during my childhood I wish that we could have done, but since you're here, I've learned to just enjoy the now. Right. Enjoy that you are here, and then I can experience things with you now. So instead of holding on to that grudge, and I can experience new things with you that I haven't gotten to before. Right. Well, let me just say, I'm thankful to have you in my life. You are truly the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'm grateful for you. Mo, I am thankful for you because, everyone want to get on these platforms and dog out their baby moms and make it seem like their baby mom were the absolute worst. But again, I hit the jackpot. My daughter mom, she pretty freaking amazing. And I wanted to definitely extend my platform for people to see that. So because again, when we take this entrepreneur journey and we, these are the people that are affected. These are the people opinions that matter at the end of the day. These are the faces. And I think we just want to be a part of the change that I want to see. So I want to say thank you. In closing, Mo, is there anything that you want to, say, get anything off your chest?
Oh, really? I get that one.
Right.
All in all, it looks good now, and it is good. But going through the process, it's growing pains, it's heartache, it's being upset, it's wanting to hurt one another. But again, when you remove those emotions for that individual and place that child first, then things start to mellow itself out. Right. We're here by the grace of God. We're here because I have a great co-parenting relationship with Skylar and Trey's dad, and his wife is my sister wife. That's my homie. And looking forward to meeting your future, whomever this wonderful person may be.
No, I'm playing.
No, seriously, because that's, again, the feelings that you and I have, the love, granted, my child's father, so it's always going to be a level of love, care, and respect. But we're at a space where we're adults, right? And I remember Jessica Simpson said it when her and Nick Lachey broke up. She said, we had our time together and we just had to move on and create space for others. I'm paraphrasing, but at the end of the day is, Zachary and I are good friends. And the fact that we're good friends, we're going to raise a healthy, smart, loving child. And that's what you have to do. You have to do that. You take your emotion, take your feeling out of it. It ain't no, I don't want him seeing my child, and I don't want my child around nobody else. Well, you send your child to school every year with a different teacher. So you tripping about him having somebody around your child? Right. If that man loves your child, he's not going to let nobody hurt your child. Right. Okay, so that was never an issue. And we're good. Right. I think you're a good dad to your daughter. I know you wanted to spend a lot more time with her in terms of her growing up, but there's more years ahead of you than you have behind you. Right. So you just look to that and, keep pressing forward.
No, definitely. And that was one of the things that actually got me through, because I can tell you that when I was away, you really you really did a good job of letting me know like what was going on in her life, what was there, and how I could impact. There was a few times that you'll say, hey, I need you to say this to her on the phone right here and do this. And that stuff was just not only good for her, but it was good for my mental health to get through it as well. And it was a few times in there, man, when I was in there.
He's still rough around the edges. Oh my God. We're still trying to polish and shave.
Right. right. You said the wife thing. I said, oh man, No, I do. I hope to. I hope that I will be blessed enough to find someone in my life who, will take that space as my wife,
Absolutely.
And so I do hope to get there. Right now I'm in this entrepreneurial journey. But ladies, feel free to hit them DMs up.
Yes,
So,
hit them. Listen, I approve his singlehood so he can have a relationship.
So hit them DMs up, ladies.
You ready for that, mommy?
All right, so Autumn, in closing, is there anything that you want to share? Is there anything? Look, for the little girl that is going through a tough time where she may be missing her father, and he don't always have to be incarcerated. He could just not be there. He could just, due to work schedule and so forth, for someone. To the little girl that is into that situation, what would you do? How would you talk to her?
I would say that your feelings are validated, and that it is tough to not have your father around to see you grow up or to see you at all, whether if the circumstances may be. But just want to remind you that if you do get those chances to spend time with your father, just forgive, let go of those grudges and experience new things with them. Because just as I said, you have more years in front of you than behind you. So just remember to always keep that in mind and just forgive. And that's all you can really do is just forgive and just make new experiences and make new memories with that person. Make those core memories, because that's what lasts.
All right. Well, thank you so very much. I sincerely appreciate having you ladies here. I'm grateful for this right here. This is maybe the 5th, 6th episode of the Future is Female podcast. Let's go. So with that being said, I am Zachary King. This is the Future is Female podcast, and I'm out.
Deuces.